Welcome to Betrayed and Broken S. Enjoy watching. We hope you will have fun with us. She never imagined that one encounter in the quiet forest would turn her entire world upside down. It started as an ordinary day, just her wandering through the trees, enjoying the calm and the fresh air. But then out of nowhere, a powerful presence appeared. A wolf, wild and mysterious, stepped out from the shadows and did something no one could have predicted. He claimed her as his mate. At first she was frozen with fear and disbelief. How could this happen? Why her? Her life, which had always been simple and peaceful, suddenly felt like it was being pulled into a story far bigger than herself. This wasn't just about a girl and a wolf. It was about a bond that challenged everything she thought she knew about trust, survival and destiny. The wolf was unlike any creature she had ever met, strong, fierce and strangely protective. But what did it mean to be claimed by a wild animal? Was it danger or protection? Freedom or captivity? As the forest seemed to close in around her, so did the questions about who she was becoming and what this new life would demand from her. The tension between the human world she knew and the wild world the wolf represented grew stronger by the day. With every step, her old life slipped further away, replaced by a mysterious path she didn't understand but couldn't ignore. And just when she thought she might find answers, the wolf's claim pulled her into a deeper secret. One that could change everything forever. What would she choose? When the wild called her name. The story is just beginning and her journey has only just started. She had always felt a little out of place in her small village, caught between the rhythm of everyday life and a restless curiosity about the world beyond. The forest had been her refuge, a place where she could escape the noise and expectations that weighed on her shoulders. It was quiet there, alive, with the soft sounds of rustling leaves and distant bird song, but that quiet was fragile, and on that day it shattered with the arrival of the wolf. He wasn't like the wolves she had heard about in stories, those dangerous creatures that prowl only in fairy tales or warnings. This wolf seemed to carry a strange intelligence in his eyes, something almost human when he stepped toward her. It wasn't just a wild animal acting on instinct. It felt as if he was reaching out, trying to connect, trying to say something she couldn't yet understand. His claim wasn't just a gesture. It was a force, a bond that twisted her thoughts and filled her heart with a mix of fear and something she hadn't felt before. Oh. The villagers had always been wary of the forest, whispering tales of spirits and strange happenings. Few dared to wander too far, and those who did rarely returned with more than a quick story, but she had never believed those warnings completely. The forest had been her sanctuary until now. Now it was a place full of secrets, of shadows moving just out of sight, and the presence of a wolf who had marked her as his own. Her mind raced as she tried to make sense of it all. What did it mean to be claimed by a wolf? Was she trapped in some ancient ritual or caught in a mystery that stretched beyond her time? The wolf never left her side after that day, watching over her with eyes that seemed to see everything, her fears, her hopes, even the parts of herself she tried to hide. He was both protector and prisoner of the wild, and somehow she had become part of that wild world. But the deeper she went into this new life, the more questions arose. Was the bond between them a blessing or a curse? Could she ever return to her old life, or was she destined to become something else entirely? The forest held its breath, waiting as her story unfolded, one step closer to a truth that might change everything, yet still just out of reach. Days passed and the strange bond between her and the wolf grew stronger. Yet so did the unrest inside her. The villagers noticed her change. The way her eyes seemed distant, her movements quieter. More cautious whispers spread quickly through the village about the girl who had vanished into the forest and returned, marked by something wild and unknown. Some said she was cursed, others believed she had made a deal with spirits, but none dared to approach her directly. Fear and fascination tangled in the air whenever her name was mentioned. Meanwhile, the wolf stayed close, almost like a shadow that refused to leave. At times she felt comforted by his presence, but at others a chilling uncertainty gripped her heart. Was he guarding her from dangers she didn't understand? Or was he binding her to a fate she couldn't escape? She had tried to push him away, to run back toward the safety of her village, But the wolf's silent insistence kept pulling her back deeper into the forest's mysteries. Among the trees, she discovered hints of a world hidden from human eyes, a network of ancient trails, strange symbols carved into bark, and echoes of long-forgotten stories about the wild and its guardians. There were other creatures too mysterious and elusive watching from the shadows, were they friends or foes? Her instincts warned her to stay alert, but her heart urged her to learn more. Back in the village, her closest friend struggled to understand what was happening, torn between loyalty and fear. The friend tried to reach her, hoping to remind her of the life she once had, but every attempt only seemed to widen the distance between them, as if the girl was slipping away, becoming something new and unrecognizable. This growing divide weighed heavily on both of them, stirring a quiet tension that neither could ignore. The wolf's claim was more than a simple bond. It was a force that threatened to reshape everything she knew about herself, her family, and the delicate balance between human and wild. With each passing day, the question grew clearer, but no less terrifying. Could she embrace this new life and the wolf's fierce protection, or would she lose herself forever in the shadows of the forest? The answers remained just beyond reach, locked in the silence between them as the forest waited for what was to come next. As days turned into nights and back again, the forest seemed to close around her like a living breath full of whispers and shadows she could no longer ignore. The wolf's presence was constant, sometimes comforting, sometimes suffocating, and she felt the weight of his claims settle deeper in her soul. Her heart pounded with a strange mixture of fear and something else she couldn't name. Was it trust or something closer to surrender? Every step she took alongside him felt like walking the edge of a knife. Fragile and dangerous, the village grew restless. Rumors had become accusations, and suspicion hung thick in the air. Some villagers spoke openly of breaking the old ties, of hunting the wolf that had claimed their girl. Others argued for understanding, but their voices were few and drowned out by fear. Her friend, torn between hope and despair, warned her to return before it was too late, but she felt the pull of the forest and the wolf's claim stronger than any promise she had ever known. One evening, as twilight bled into night, the wolf fled her deeper into the woods than she had ever dared go before. The trees grew taller, their branches twisting like ancient sentinels. The air was thick, with a strange energy, almost electric. She could hear faint howls far away, calls from others like him, or warnings from the wild. Her mind spun with questions. What was this place? What was the true meaning of the bond she shared with the wolf? And what did it mean for her future? At the heart of the forest, they reached a clearing bathed in moonlight, where the air seemed to pulse with power. The wolf stood tall, his eyes glowing with an intensity that sent chills down her spine. She sensed that this moment was something more than a simple meeting. It was a turning point. Her own heart raced as if it knew something she didn't yet understand, a secret waiting to break free. Back in the village, the tension reached a boiling point. Men gathered with torches and weapons. S determined to confront the wolf and the girl. He claimed her friend pleaded for peace, but the fear of the unknown had already set in motion, forces that could not be stopped in that moonlit clearing between the wild and the human world. She stood at the edge of a choice that could change everything, her life, her identity, and the fragile balance between three worlds. The silence hung heavy, the moment charged with the promise of change, but the outcome remained a mystery. What would she do when the wild called her name once more? Just as the tension in the clearing seemed unbearable, the forest around them shifted in a way she hadn't expected. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, and a low growl echoed through the trees, different from the wolves, more distant but filled with menace. Her heart leapt in her T. This was no ordinary night. Something else was coming, something darker and more dangerous than she had ever imagined. The wolf's posture changed instantly. His eyes narrowed, muscles teasing as he positioned himself between her and the encroaching threat. She felt a surge of fear, but also an odd calm, as if she was standing on the edge of a secret she had only just begun to uncover. Before she could ask what was happening, a second figure emerged from the shadows, a creature like the wolf, but larger, older, and with eyes that burned with a fierce wild intelligence. It was as if the forest had summoned a guardian of a different kind, one whose claim was ancient and unforgiving. The new wolf did not speak, but his presence spoke volumes. The bond she shared with her wolf protector was no longer unique. There were other forces at play that stretched far beyond the quiet forest. She had once known the elder wolf's gaze locked with hers, and in that moment she understood that the wolf who had claimed her was part of a larger, more dangerous world. This wasn't just about protection or survival. It was about power, territory, and ancient laws that neither she nor the village could hope to control. Back in the village, the men with torches and weapons grew restless. The fires they built cast long, trembling shadows as they prepared to enter the forest. Her friend, desperate to find her before it was too late, warned the others of the bond between the girl and the wolf. But fear was louder than reason. They believed the wolf was a monster, a threat to everything they held dear. As the three wolves faced off in the moonlit clearing, she felt the weight of the wolf's claim press harder against her skin. It was no longer just a connection, it was a challenge. The elder wolf seemed to question her right to belong, testing her resolve, her loyalty, and her courage. And in that test she saw the possibility of losing everything she had left, her identity, her freedom, and maybe even her heart. The forest around them held its breath, caught between the human world and the wild. Her journey was no longer about finding safety, but about navigating the dangerous, shifting boundaries of three worlds in conflict. With the village closing in and the wolves locked in a silent battle, the stakes had never been higher. She stood at the crossroads, caught between love and fear, human and wild, belonging and exile, and just as the tension reached its peak, a sudden movement from the shadows promised that the night's true battle was only just beginning in the stillness that followed. The tension between the three wolves slowly eased. The elder wolf, with eyes that held both challenge and respect, finally stepped back, acknowledging the bond she shared with the younger wolf. It was a silent truce, a recognition that her place in the wild was real and important. The wolf, who had claimed her strong, fierce, and loyal, nuzzled her gently, reminding her that she was not alone in this strange new world. The village, sensing the calm, held back their advance. Her friend approached cautiously. Relief and worry mixed in their eyes. Words were unnecessary. The change in her was clear. She was no longer just a girl from the village. She was part of something greater, connected to the forest and the wild, in a way that neither fear nor misunderstanding could break. The villagers began to see her not as a threat, but as a bridge between three worlds. Over time, she learned to live with the wolf's claim, embracing the strength and wildness within herself. The forest was no longer just a place of escape, but a home filled with secrets and life where she could be both human and something more. The bond with the wolf taught her about loyalty, courage, and the power of connection beyond words. Her friend remained by her side, helping her navigate the delicate balance between village life and the wild. Together they worked to heal the fear that had grown in the hearts of the villagers, showing that understanding could replace suspicion. The story of the wolf, who claimed her, became a tale of unity, reminding everyone that sometimes the most unexpected bonds hold the greatest strength. In the end, her life had changed forever, not just because of the wolf's claim, but because she chose to embrace it. She found courage in uncertainty and hope in the unknown. The forest still whispered its secrets, and the wolf's eyes still watched over her. But now she walked forward with a heart that was both wild and free. Her journey was a reminder that sometimes the greatest transformations come from the moments we fear the most, and that belonging is not about fitting in, but about finding where you are truly meant to be. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and leave a comment. If you enjoyed this story, this will help us create even